Hello, good night, Marcia, and to all of your viewers on the Marcia Week Show.
Yes, good night, sir. It's a pleasure to have you. I know you're very, very busy right now in St. James North. I see you down there and you're working very, very hard along with that lioness Felicia Dujon. But before we jump into what's happening into St. James North, let's deal with this situation here where it is where the prime minister is saying that your political leader is making crime a political football, basically. But I'm sure you would have heard this clip that I played when she was in the opposition. What are your thoughts?
Exactly. It seems as though she has a bit of amnesia and does not remember those days. But the same way that that she expected the Frondell Stewart to deal with crime in that time, and it was not as bad as it is now. That is what many Barbadians are hoping, that the Prime Minister and the Barbados Labour Party government would develop the political will to deal with the crime situation in Barbados, because it is really at a horrendous state at this stage, and it is really terrifying a number of Barbadians. And it's one of the main issues that when you speak to people on the campaign trail here in St. James North, crime is one of the main issues. And
Really?
especially this is one of the part of the tourism belt as well. And then you have persons that live beyond the tourism belt into the neighborhoods, and many of them have to go through very poor lighting in order to get home, especially women, and walk long distances away from the bus route in order to get home.
The people want us to put back up Mr. John. Take her down, please. Take her down. Take her down figuratively, and take her down. We need to take her down from being prime minister as well. They want to see Mr. John. So yes. So
I think that Dave may have another poster that he can use, because this is the one for the nomination day.
I will send it to him. Take that one down, Dave. Take it all down. I will send him something else to put up, because I know you have a special meeting. I believe that's coming up
Tomorrow, so you can put up that poster.
Yes. So but tell us, without I mean, what is interesting? I want to just say something else about this crime thing before. Do you remember what happened at Kadooment Day? I don't know if you remember that, where shots were fired.
Yes, I do remember.
What this this I don't even know, this pretend prime minister, what Miss Piggy?
Dave, let me send you another one, and you can change that one. So let me send you another one.
Okay, I think because that's the one I have as well.
Yeah, let me send you another one. I'll send it now.
Okay, all right. So while you're looking for that, let me just set up the question or the discussion point, and I'll talk to the viewers. Now, viewers, I remember that Kadooment Day. What happened was that shots were fired. Some guys were, they had some gang warfare. Now, the way Miss Motley had a press conference after that occurred. Would you believe that nobody died? Now, I am not saying that it was right for shots to be fired, but I am saying, if you listen to her tone, and she said that the people in the region are concerned. She talked about the regional community, they're watching us. So when at a netball match somebody put a gunshot in a how old was the boy? 13-year-old boy head.
Correct.
But where was the press conference?
And I wonder if she also remembered that on the same day that 13-year-old was buried, a 14-year-old was grazed with a bullet in his home in Nelson Street. I remember how the grandmother wailed.
Can I tell you? We went and saw and we saw the boys. There are two. One was 11 and one was 14. There are two that got grazed, sir. And the 11-year-old goes to the same school, Lodge.
Lodge, yes.
He had just come home from the funeral and sat down eating a meat roll and a juicy. when the shot grazed him and grazed his brother on the inside. But continue.
Right. So, and then you remember how the grandmother pleaded with the Attorney General Dale Marshall to do something about it. And up to now, you have not heard the Attorney General addressing the crime situation. And Marcia, many people believe that the crime situation in Barbados can be dealt with, but it needs political will, because it is not a one fix that will deal with it. It's a number of issues that need to be dealt with in order to address the crime situation. One would be employment opportunities for the young people. Two would be the cost of living. And then there are many young people who there are not enough activities to engage them. And this government came along and basically stopped a number of those activities. But we had the constituency councils, which did a number of things to engage young people within communities. Many of the community centers are closed at night, in particular, when people would be home, and they can be used to engage persons in skills training, activity, or other recreational activities that could help to draw persons away from crime. So there are a lot of things that can be done. And the important thing, they seem to know who the criminals are, because remember that the new minister with responsibility for crime, immediately on taking on the position, said that he's going to meet with the gangsters. So if you're going to meet with gangsters and the people who are responsible for the crime, why isn't the police being directed to deal with those persons?
Yes, correct. And let's just listen as well to this is when he was the opposition. It was when they were in opposition, Dave, I think.
Dale Marshall, Attorney General of Barbados. Mr. Dale Marshall, Attorney General of Barbados. Dale Marshall, something needs to be done about this. It is getting... Yesterday, I was so traumatized. I am not feeling well. My mother is sick. I had to deal with her all the time, and I felt off yesterday. The chair was there watching TV. I said, "Me get her there, rest calm. He's there." By the time before I hit the bed, I hit all this shot. I scream out, "Mom!" I scream. I try to come inside and shut the door. The little boy told me, "Auntie, I get shot." I said, "No, you ain't get shot because you probably hit your head somewhere. Come." He said, "Yes, Auntie, I get shot." I said, "No, because I was not seeing any blood." I said, "No, you ain't get shot. You probably hit your head because I scrambled them out and carried them inside." When the little boy do that, I said, "Oh, you bad." The next thing I know, there's somebody slapped in my face because they collapsed. My pressure went up. I could have gone there too. So that trauma, I could have just dropped on my died. Left my old mother inside there. Mr. Dale Marshall, my name is Marguerite Henry. Mr. Dale Marshall, something needs to be done. You are the Attorney General of this country. You are responsible for this crime thing. I ain't saying you doing it. You open the guns in nobody's hand. But when I go, I get serious though. Because what got you my money is not principle. I don't want to see God's face. And the law says you can't take the law in your own hand. But something needs to be done drastically. You want to tell me that you live in a neighborhood, you know, own house, and people walk in the street, walking the road. People walk in the road, and somebody pulls a gun. People in the road, and somebody just walk up with a gun and start shooting with no kind of remorse, nothing. And when they can't do nothing, I want to say, you see about this human rights. And all the posts people are talking, everybody got rights. Everybody has rights. But tell me how in God's name that you could walk in the middle of a public road where people sit down there and playing dominoes, playing little cards, the little children there sit down watching TV, and you go out your gun and shoot at somebody. And you hit Nessa Street. You want to hit this part about it? The person that was getting shot from Nessa Street, nobody knows him. But Mr. Dale Marshall, Prime Minister Mia Motley, something needs to be done. Because if not, If this thing continues all the time, so everybody's not gonna take it lightly. Because it got come a time that somebody going to shoot somebody try innocently and they're gonna retaliate. Yeah. Because they said they can't take it on your hands. But something needs to be done. This my grandson could have been hurt yesterday. My grandson is 4 years old and he's sick at this morning every time he's in here. In my place that I pay rent for, watching TV, he was not in the road running about. He was in at me. This little boy that gets shot is like a nephew to me. He's sitting down here every day. And you won't tell me that bullet come through there, come through a barrel, and that what I want to say is not printable. Mr. Dale Marshall, Dale, wanna do something?
And I could feel her frustration and her pain because that was a serious situation. I went to the funeral, and then to hear that in the news the same evening, I was, what is going on in this country? And by the grace of God, thankfully, the two young persons were not killed. But I mean, if that had happened in this country, you could understand how it would have torn Barbados apart.
Mm. Mm. I mean, I couldn't even. I thought I wasn't even going to be able to do the show when it occurred. I literally thought I wouldn't have been able to do the show. So I know that would have torn us apart, and to know that it would have been another child from Lodge. God, thank God that didn't happen. Just come home. But she called a press conference, right? She did a press, right? You're right. 7 years ago or 9 years ago, she did that for
That would have been about 2017.
thereabout. And no, not that it's good that shots are fired. Don't get me wrong, because I would never be happy with that. I'm just saying the seriousness of it. Crime has gone out over 150 something percent. Crime has increased in this country, right? And there are no solutions apart from the tint and the cell phones that the children using and so on. Nothing that is concrete. But as you said, it was you were in St. James North, you're hearing some of the residents there. These are some of the issues that they're bringing up to you guys, that they're sharing with you guys, and you're going to have you have a community meet and greet because you're opening up a campaign office there, aren't you?
Yes, we are. Right now, I'm actually here at the campaign house in Mount Stanford in St. James. I had ended up here tonight. The plan was not to be here, but this is where we ended up tonight because of all of what we are doing in terms of preparing for the election and on the campaign trail. But tomorrow evening at 6:30, we will actually open the campaign office, and we will have it blessed by priests from the area, including from the Roman Catholic Church, and also Pastor Payne, who is the brother of Joe Payne, who had won this seat back in the 1980s for the Democratic Labour Party, and along with Reverend Durant and Reverend Wesley Carter will be here. So we will do an official opening tomorrow evening at 6:30, and we are extending invitations to the residents around and in the area, in all of St. James North actually, to come and join us here for a meet and greet, where we will have after that a little sit down conversation. So different from a spot meeting, but a sit down conversation with residents, a meet and greet, a social, a mingle where we can hear their concerns and their issues, and they can get to talk directly to our candidate, Ms. Felicia Dujon, who obviously will be here, and the political leader, Ralph Thorne, as well, just to hear what are the plans for the party's plans and Ms. Dujon's plans for the constituency. And as she go about meeting residents and hearing their concerns and their needs.
Yes, Alvin is saying that Alvin is saying that he will be there. If you're listening from St. James North, then that's a place to be, and come and ask the tough questions and make right. It's not you can ask the questions. I'm sure that you would not mind them. That's where they need to come and ask, be straight up.
Exactly. Yeah, they need to come and ask the questions, and because as Felicia said, her campaign is about empowering the residents, and it is also about building relationships. So, as a constituent, you would want to know what are the plans for the constituency, but also as the person with the intention to be the representative after the 21st of May, she would also want to know what are the needs of the residents of the constituency. Because as she said, that her focus will be develop plans and activities that are addressing the needs and the concerns of the residents.
But I have a question here. I mean, I know that your campaign, because of just the way how things have been, with the party having all the, they had all the seats, and the DLP did not have anybody in parliament. Now, your finances are, how, the campaign finances and so on. How is that going?
Well, Marcia can say that we are not like the Barbados Labour Party, because remember that the Democratic Labour Party does not get a subvention from the government. We should have been entitled to the subvention from the time Ralph crossed the floor in February last year. And up to this day, no one from Parliament has said to us, well, you have representation in Parliament, you are deserving of the subvention, so we do not get that. So the Barbados Labour Party gets all of the $300,000 per year that is allocated to
how much was
political parties.
allocated? How much was allocated to you, to the DLP?
The full amount is 300,000. So we would have been, and that would normally have been split between the two parties. So we would have been
Right.
allocated
And just
150,000. So for
150,000.
7 years, they probably received over $2.1 million in subvention.
Oh, it's 300. It's 150,000 a year.
150,000 a year per party, but as they claim to the only party, they would have claimed the entire 300,000.
I want Barbados to listen to this. St. James North, listen to what is going on. So when you see all the big promotion and you see influencers online and they are doing a lot of things, a lot of these people are paid, yeah?
Correct.
A lot of these people are paid, and they're being paid probably out of this subvention that the party, the BLP party, under the leadership of Mia Motley, have refused
to pay to the Democratic Labour Party.
The Democratic Labour Party a cent.
And the purpose of that subvention is to protect democracy within the country, because the subvention was brought in by Owen Arthur in the 1990s because he recognized that political parties do need money in order to run their campaigns and do the affairs of necessary for political parties to operate. So it is really an opportunity to to strengthen the democracy in the country. We have had a representative in the House of Assembly since February last year. It is up. And I don't think that the Democratic Labour Party should have to be begging for something, because we are represented in the House of Assembly. So why should we have to beg? I think that Parliament by now should have seen it fit that the Democratic Labour Party gets their share of the subvention. So all of the trappings that you are seeing the Barbados Labour Party put out for their campaign, obviously we cannot compete with them, and that is why part of our slogan is morality versus money, because we will never be able to compete with the money of the Barbados Labour Party. But we are still pulling off a very credible campaign with the donation and the support of our members and people out there who are willing to give to the Democratic Labour Party to help us with our campaign. We have, you would have seen that they mocked us and asked questions about whether or not nobody can't give the Democratic Labour Party a campaign house. But by the grace of God, I am sitting in the campaign house right now, and it will be launched tomorrow, and that's just one of two. We have one here in Mount Stancas, Prescott Road, and then we also have one in the Rock Dundo area, a space that has also been provided for us. So we will launch that office in the Rock Dundo area on Tuesday evening as well.
And as Dave has on the screen here, this is a kind of injustice that's happening in this country. And let me tell you, we are not surprised, because it characterized the kind of government that this motley government. We're not surprised that they would do that, because it's despotic and they do not want democracy to thrive. So though by law they're supposed to give the opposition 150,000, they refuse, and they did the same thing with Mr. Athley. The same thing. And you think you're going to prosper? You might have the biggest banners. Let me tell you something. If I were the people in St. James North, I would just go vex and vote them out, just because of how unjust they are. Listen, in the Barbadian political context, subventions typically refer to financial grants or subsidies provided by the government to political parties, especially opposition parties, to help them operate. These subventions are intended to support their activities in elections, including campaigning and party operations. And so they have been keeping the whole 300,000 for 7 years. So calculate that. That is over
2.1 million.
They have $2.1 million to work with, and the DLP had zero. Mr. Athley had zero. This is how much Mia Motley and the BLP are concerned about democracy in this country. That's how much they're concerned about democracy. And a lot of you, I'll soon get back to you, Adrian, but I want to talk to the viewers. A lot of you go where you laugh and you say, yes, man, she's going to give them another 30. Give who another 30? Every time you do that and you laugh about that, you know what is happening? Your democracy is being taken from you. Your democracy is being taken from. Every time you say, yes, man, the licks in the skin, licks in the skin, licks in whose skin? Licks in your skin. And I just had to do that little preachment to them. But, you know, the obvious question I want to ask you, and I don't know if you know the answer on the spot. I hope I'm not putting on the spot, but if you don't know it, you can come back and tell us. Why isn't this a legal matter? Why don't we go to the courts?
Well, it is not necessarily something that is within the legislation that you can actually, it is a convention of the parliament.
Okay. I understand now. So Owen Arthur created this, it's a convention that people with a conscience and people who love democracy would normally do, right?
Yes. Right. And it was started by ONF because it didn't always exist. It was started in after 1994, and when we came back into office in 2008, we upheld the tradition as well and continued with it.
And you continued doing it. She only changed it, folks, when she got in and took all the money. So the BLP, they are working with over $2.1 million for the 7 years and never gave a red cent to Mr. Atherley or Mr. Thorne for the DLP. Let me tell you, there is no way under God green heavens I will ever vote for a tyrant like that. Never. And I said it. Thank you so much. We've gone over into the other time. This thing, I hate injustice, Andre. One of the things I just have this bone in me. I hate it. Why would you want to do that? You're getting all of this money from all these other places. And yet still, it's terrible. And you, audience, you criticize the DLP. Oh, they don't have any ads on social media. They don't have any radio ads. They don't have any music. Chad has calypso, soca music. Somebody donated the AI song to Miss Felicia. People say, oh, but you don't have any real song. You know how much to even start a campaign song? How many thousands of dollars? Where is she
And I'll
supposed to
let
get
you
it from?
know, that that is coming out too. That will be coming out as well. So we will
Wow.
be launching our campaign song pretty soon. We have a meeting on Sunday night. So I believe that you'll probably hear that campaign song at our meeting in Rockdundo on Sunday night. But you are very right, Marcia, in terms of all of this is a threat to democracy. And that is why this St. James North by-election is so important, that we are asking the residents of St. James North to do something for the people of Barbados and take a stand against the threat against democracy by voting for Felicia Dujon, so that we will have that second seat in the House of Assembly, that second voice. With a second seat in the House of Assembly, Ralph Thorne can put a resolution and will have a seconder in Felicia Dujon, and put something on the table that Parliament, as long as they allow it, would have to debate it.
Yeah.
So that is how important it is. And then we would also have a second seat on the Public Accounts Committee, which would allow us to do more in terms of getting information, because there's a lack of oversight within this country, a lack of good governance. You would have seen the report of that the Auditor General did into housing. There are so many more scandals out there that we do not know of. That is just the tip of the iceberg. But we can only do it if we have a fully functioning Public Accounts Committee, and we have an opposition that is able to do its oversight and actually ask pertinent questions in the House of Assembly.
And that which give light to the possibility should.
Even if that is the case, but
Mhm.
you are purporting that you support democracy and you
Right.
recognize the importance of political parties, because it is something that can be changed with
Of course.
political will.
Of course, not necessary for them to structure the document in such a way to accommodate that, right?
But
Likewise, go ahead.
sorry to interrupt you, Ms. Science, but as Marcia, it goes back to political will, which
Yes.
goes back to all of the problems which we are currently facing in this country. We could do better with cost of living if there was a political will to deal with it. We could do better in crime situation if there was a political will to deal with it. And definitely, if there was a political will to strengthen democracy by allowing all parties in Parliament to have access to the subvention, with political will, that could be done, because the whole thing came about as a result of political will introduced by Owen Arthur at the time, because he saw it as being important to democracy in this country. Because remember that the Barbados Labour Party went through a phase where they only had 3 persons in Parliament before they won in 1994.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
and so yeah. Most
And
definitely. And
opposition,
Adrian, go ahead, Mr. Worrell.
and opposition is part of a democracy.
Yes.
Ah, say that
Yes.
again. Say that again. Come to the front of the class. Say that again, President.
Right, and opposition is part of a democracy. You can't have a democracy without an opposition.
Yeah.
And because there are 3 political positions which are recognized in the Constitution: the Prime Minister, the Attorney General, and the Leader of the Opposition.
I'm not all years that we were operating.
Meaning that
You mean since
before Mr.
2018?
Thorne, before me,
Um,
before Mr.
It was
Thorne
only
comes,
after the 2022 election that we had a period of time where we did not have an opposition leader. Because remember that in 2018, Akali, he resigned and took up the position of
Yeah.
the opposition leader.
Constitution that
I
we
don't
can
remember.
find it.
It would be in the early sections of the
The early section
Constitution.
of the Constitution.
Yes. So if you just Google the Constitution of Barbados and look for the early sections where it outlines the governor, the president, Well, you don't have one saying president no, because we don't have that in our constitution. So you should be able to find it.
Tuition and so on. And
But Marcia, to add to what the discussion of which could be dealt with in a later show, matters related to the Constitution, I think that our court system should allow them to go to judicial review so that you would know whether or not the Constitution is fit for purpose and meeting the needs of the country at the particular point in time. Because in initial stages, our Constitution was written when we went to independence in 1966. Barbados has changed a lot since then. We're now looking at a Republican Constitution, and from 2020, I think that's like 2021 onward, and Barbados has changed a lot since then. So I think that you should always allow your Constitution to go to judicial review so that you would know whether or not it is fit for purpose. No, we did not, and we definitely would not. And actually, I think recognizing the nature of the war, we did not want to make it political. So we did not, members who attended the war did not walk in DLP shirts or anything of that nature, because it would send a bad message.
She was the only person that turned up in that shirt. And not only that, she proceeded to, I saw her walking, and from the time she was walking, her whole spirit did not fit the occasion. And oh Lord, I tell you, the people will find it. So you know that I'm not telling a lie. This is you see her name even on the shirt, because you're going to say that it's not her. See her name on it there? Let me put it big so everybody see, because you all going to think that I'm making this up. And all this time, I never said anything about it. People that make up your team and the people from, Christchurch,
West Central.
West Central. I want to say, my goodness, you have saved the people.
Well, I can say to you, Marcia, well, even though she was not representative of the Democratic Labour Party, I would apologize for the behavior, but that is not what we represent and not what we say. Because I just asked Melissa, who's here with me, if she was at the march, and Melissa was at the march, and you didn't even know. Melissa's the person who...
I don't remember even seeing Melissa.
Right, and she's the person who is the candidate now for Christchurch West Central, but she attended the march, and I don't think that she attended in any DLP colors, but she just attended to be a part of the process and to show respect to Shonathan's parents, and just the magnitude of what was happening. But I can also say to you that when we consulted with the members of the branch, which is part of the candidate selection process, the first thing that they told us, anyone except Renette Demont as the candidate. And I believe it is all because of the behavior which you saw on display at the march, and the behavior which we saw on display the night at the conference when we were trying to close the doors to the conference so that we can go home. Mr. Mott was one of those persons who sat in the doorway, preventing us from closing the doors. And even from the 22 election, I believe that there were issues between her and members of the branch, and they said to us, anyone except Renette Demont as candidate.
Keep you any longer.
Just to speak about it before I go. The march was a march. You were mourning someone who died.
Yes.
And to make it political by wearing party colors, that was insensitive. You are mourning someone who died. And we don't know what to wear political colors at a time like that is insensitive, because it takes away from the major message, the concern and the grief for the family of the person who died. So even if there are persons associated with political parties who follow this show and come to your marches, you would not expect them to wear party colors on an occasion like that, because it has absolutely nothing to do with politics. The thing is to show your concern for the crime situation and solidarity with the family who is grieving. That has nothing to do with being a member of the Democratic Labour Party, Barbados Labour Party, or the UPP.
Yes,
But you're
because
there to show solidarity.
Mr. Trevor Prescott was at the back and he just like this, and that was it.
Yep. Time and place, and if you
But
can't do
the
that,
important thing is you respect the wishes of the organizer of the march
yes,
or any activity. If someone invited you to participate in their activity, you respect their wishes.
Yep.
Yeah, so anybody can come to the march. You know, Barbados, it's small. Anybody gonna be, you know, we're people are either part of one party or the next. So everybody can come. The problem is you know, the behavior and what we do and what we represent, time and place, as you said. But we're done with that. But I just wanted to congratulate the people of Christchurch West Central for dodging a bullet. That's it. Thank you so much. Is there anything you want to say, Dave? Just put up the you know, about the
community meeting tomorrow. Right. So we're just it's open, the launch of our campaign office, and we are particularly inviting residents of St. James North to come and join us. But it is open tomorrow evening, starting at 6:30. The office is on, right, the office is Prescott Road, Mount Staffas, which is pretty close to the Roman Catholic Church. So once you reach the Roman Catholic Church, it's the gap opposite the Roman Catholic Church. So look forward to you joining us and having that meet and greet with our candidate, Felicia Dugan.